You know what nobody tells you about when you stop playing sports? You spend your whole life chasing performance, and then one day, all of that just stops. You go from early lifts, team meals, and game film to figuring out what it even means to be healthy when no one's keeping score anymore. And the hardest part isn't losing the sport, it's losing who you were when you've competed your entire life. Today, I want to talk through 5 hard truths that every former athlete eventually runs into. These aren't meant to tear you down, they're meant to free you up. Because once you stop trying to live like the person you used to be, you finally start building the life you actually want to live now. Truth number 1, you're not supposed to feel like an athlete anymore. That's the one nobody likes hearing, right? Because for so long, that was your whole identity. I'm an athlete. Your schedule, your meals, your social life, everything revolved around being the best version of that. But now you're not in that environment anymore. You're not supposed to train 20 hours a week or eat like you were fueling for 2 a days or, just nonstop training. And yet we guilt ourselves for not doing it. We look in the mirror and think, I'm not who I used to be. But the real truth is you're not. We look in the mirror and think, I'm not who I used to be. But here's the truth. You're not supposed to be that person. You trained for competition, not for life. That version of you was built for a short-term goal. Now the goal is sustainability and consistency, being healthy for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So stop trying to get back to your playing day self. You're not going backwards. You're building something new, something that actually fits the career, the schedule, the life you have now. When you let go of who you were, you finally make room for who you're supposed to become. Truth number 2, discipline isn't your problem anymore. Structure is. This one hits every ex-athlete. You don't struggle because you're lazy or unmotivated. You struggle because for the first time, there's no structure holding you accountable. When you played, your day was mapped out. Lifts, class, practice, recovery, all built in. You didn't have to find motivation, the system that made sure you showed up. Now you're working, maybe you have a family, and you're trying to squeeze in a workout when you can. That's not a lack of discipline. That's a lack of a framework and skills, habits, and cope mechanisms to know what's actually going to work for you. You've got to rebuild your own version of that. Maybe that means short morning workouts of hour-long lifts. Maybe that means preparing food on Sunday so you're not ordering takeout 4 nights a week. It's about creating simple systems that make doing the right thing easier. You didn't lose your edge as an athlete. You just need to create the environment that brings it out of you again. Truth number 3, health now isn't about performance. It's about identity. You spent years measuring progress through stats, how fast, how strong, how lean. Now those numbers don't really matter anymore. And that can mess with your head because your identity used to depend on that performance. The shift now is this. Health isn't about winning. It's about alignment. Do your daily actions line up with the type of person that you say you are? You don't need to chase PRs to be proud of yourself. You just need to move, eat, and live like someone who still respects the standard they built in sports. That's what I tell all of our clients all the time. You're not done being an athlete. You're just learning to play a different game. The scoreboard is gone, but the identity is still there. It just looks different now. Truth number 4, you can't out-train a chaotic life. Back in college, your whole life was designed around performance. Now, you've got work, you've got stress, you've got bills, you've got relationships, maybe kids. And if you're not managing those things, it doesn't matter what workout you do. Your body's still in fight or flight mode. You can't expect to feel consistent when you're underslept, overstressed, and eating like you're still in a dining hall. I see ex-athletes trying to go all in again, training 5 to 6 days a week while everything else in their life is chaos, and that's why they burn out. The fix isn't more workouts, it's not more time, it's not more prepped meals, it's better balance. Start small, sleep more, simplify your meals, create time boundaries. Once your life has rhythm again, your workouts start to feel easy. You used to train for competition, now you're training for capacity, the ability to handle life and still feel like yourself. Truth number 5, consistency beats intensity every single time. Here's one of the hardest things for athletes to swallow. You're wired to go hard. That's what made you good. But that mindset that made you elite, if I can't go all in, it's not worth it, is the thing holding you back now. You don't need perfect weeks. You need consistent ones. You don't need 90-minute lifts. You need 30-minute habits you can actually sustain. But what keeps you confident isn't grinding and just putting in all of this intense effort all the time. It's the follow through. I tell people all the time, the ex-athletes who win after sport aren't the ones who train the hardest. They're not the ones out there doing triathlons and CrossFit and running marathons. They're the ones who never let the floor drop below 80%. They're not taking a full 2, 3, 4 week break at a time. That's what creates freedom That's what actually rebuilds the confidence when you're doing something consistently for a long period of time. You're not chasing being at your absolute peak anymore. You don't have to necessarily think that that's never possible. You're just choosing and chasing stability, which will eventually allow you to get back to that peak again. Those are 5 hard truths. And honestly, for me, those were really difficult lessons to learn. Just for a little perspective from my journey through all of this, I graduated from college athletics. I went straight into college coaching. I was an assistant coach within a couple of months of graduation. I was an assistant coach for a year. Then I was a head coach at 23 years old of a Division II program, responsible for 50 plus athletes, working 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. at night, working all weekends, just doing all of these things and thinking like, okay, if I'm going to ask my athletes to grind and perform at a really high level, then I have to expect it of myself. So I would stay after practice and I would go work out in our varsity training center by myself with my khaki pants and polo on just so I could fit my workout in during the day. Or I would take 2 hours on the weekend and go do a workout. And I would stay consistent with that for 3 weeks, maybe a month. I would usually get sick. I would have something pop up at work. I would have some stressor and all of a sudden I wouldn't work out for 2 months. And I thought like, okay, once I settle down, once life slows down, I will hit this routine again. But that never happened because the reality is after you graduate and you're no longer an athlete, life only gets faster from here. You can think you're going to settle down. It never happens. You're going to get married. You're going to have kids. You're going to have more kids. You're going to have like moving in your job. You're going to have stressors pop up. It only goes faster as you go. So like if you don't set the routine, develop those skills, habits, and coping mechanisms now, you'll find yourself thinking about this when you are 45 or 50 and you look back and realize you never did anything about it versus recognizing it's something you need to focus on and committing to actually doing it now. And that doesn't mean committing to training, mornings and afternoons and committing time away from family or making all these big sacrifices. It means finding a way to do it consistently within your life. And the second I realized that, it didn't just make me able to be more confident, be more fit, like all of those things. It made me able to show up better for my job, better for my family, feel more confident when I went out after work, having energy to do other things, not feeling like I need the entire weekend to recover, and just having more mental clarity and being happier throughout the day. All of these things because I'm not trying to do peak performance anymore. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself every single day and get a little better every day. And by a little better, I don't mean I'm constantly chasing, trying to put more weight on the bar. I'm constantly showing up and following through with the plan. And that is what allows me to be successful long-term. That's what allows our clients to be successful long-term when they realize one workout never makes or breaks it. And as athletes, we're meant to view, okay, you have Monday afternoon, you have Monday morning, and you have say you have AM and PM workouts Monday through Thursday. Maybe you have one morning off, but that's realistically 8 to 10 workouts you have during the week. You have one on Saturday. So we're talking probably around 10 to 11 workouts during the week. If you have one off workout, you were considered a failure that week. And it's he just needs to learn to be more consistent. And we weren't trying to be consistent. We're trying to be perfect. Now, when we recognize that, we took one morning off and worked out 4 of the 5 days a week, we view that as a failure. In reality, that's 80%, and we will still make progress to where we want to go. So redefine what you expect of yourself every single day, and you will eventually be able to be that version of yourself that you will be incredibly proud of, both for yourself, for your family, for your future kids, and anyone around you that you impact. And that's the point of this conversation. If you really sit with these hard truths, they'll shift the way you think about your health, your habits, and honestly, your identity after sport. You don't need to get back to who you were. You just need to start building a version of health that actually fits your life now. That's what this whole podcast is about. If this hits home for you, do me a favor, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and share this with another ex-college athlete who might need to hear it. Because the more we normalize these conversations, the easier it gets for athletes to rebuild without losing themselves in the process.